You've landed the job, you've negotiated the contract, you're ready to start. Now what? How do you start this job with great intention? Meaning, how do you know how this job is going to play into the trajectory, the story of your career? How is this particular role serving what you want? And how do you make that true every single day? Here to talk to us about that is Will Ferguson, an org designer at RXBAR. If you don't know what an org designer does, he's basically responsible for helping employees learn, grow, develop, and navigate change, which includes things like onboarding processes, helping with restructuring, and helping develop systems for navigating everyday work life. I asked Will to join us for two reasons. One, he does this for a living. He helps people design good onboarding experiences for a living. And second, he recently went through a career transition and was extremely thoughtful and intentional about how he approached that transition, set goals, and is continuing to live into them every day. So I'm excited for us to get to talk to Will about this.
So my first question is, for somebody who's starting a new job, what's the most important question they can ask themselves?
I think from my experience of entering new roles, a lot of it's understanding why am I going to this job? Why am I going to this community of people? Why am I entering this sort of new season in my life? Spend time reflecting on, what were some of the moments that led to this making sense, or this, it doesn't even have to make sense, but for this to feel like the thing that I want to be spending my time doing, having clear why behind it, and then moving into, okay, if I know why I want to be here, why I want to be doing this work, why I want to be around these people, why I want to be contributing to this mission, what does it look like for me to show up in a way that I am both receiving the things that I want to receive and giving the things that I want to give? How do I want to show up? What are the things I actually want to be looking to give to other people, or give to my team, or give to this company? And then it also opens the door for what I can receive, and people have better clarity on if there are new opportunities that fit sort of outside maybe what I initially came for. It's I then become top of mind for any of those things. You can totally get bogged down in, here are all the mission critical things that are actually needed for me to do my job and for me to integrate into this company well. And that's super valuable. But it's and I'm also a human that is joining all these other humans. How do I bring a piece of myself and share with other people to actually feel connected in a different way too?
Okay, so you know why you're going. You've taken that time and thought about it. Your company knows why you're there. You've expressed that in some way they can hear. Then what?
What the most valuable thing and the hardest thing, and which is why I think it's the most valuable, was being very concrete around actions and behaviors that actually let you show up into a role and enter a new space with intention. When I was leaving Salesforce, a lot of, I think the time when I was first talking to you, it was really rooted in, I felt slightly misaligned because there were things that I needed to feel fulfilled that I felt weren't present. And so I feel it really started with can I reflect on this last season and really understand where the gaps were? Once that conversation happened, it was okay, I'm entering a new season where there's no set way to do this. There's no, I mean, honestly, there's really no expectations besides the fact that you are going to show up to do a job. And so with you, it was okay, let's define what are my intentions, sort of rooted in values. But then if I come up with a list of these values that I want to intentionally have going into our RXBAR, how do I also define within those values, what are behaviors or actions that I can actually do on a daily, weekly basis that reinforce, oh, okay, I have an intention, I have an intention to do this thing. One of those values was the idea of creating moments of play. And I think we talked a lot about play is usually a sign of like, I feel safe, I feel trusted, I feel open to exploring. And for me, that was both like the way I wanted to show up in my team and sort of like share some of the more playful sides of who I am. Um, so it was like finding time once a month with my team to do something that had nothing to do with work, that was just all a creative outlet for us. So if it was like going out to lunch and deciding that we were going to focus on time to like come up with a company that we would want to launch if we weren't doing this, or if it's like, hey, after work we're going to like go get drinks together and like only talk about like weird and tough and strange relationships that we've had in our past.
And how do you think it's affected your experience at RXBAR that you set this intention of play and expressed it and fostered it for other people, as opposed to if you hadn't?
It's one thing to say, well, I really value like intentionally honest conversations with people. And it's like, great. Like, what is that actually going to look like? And, you know, you might not be able to define all of them all the time. And there's like things that like will just happen in the moment and you'll be like, oh, this is a moment where I'm like doing this value I have. But I think like when you were pushing me to get very clear on like specific behaviors and actions that I could take either daily or weekly, it really reinforced like, this doesn't have to be a big thing. They can be very small, but putting it in a way that it can consistently happen every day or every week or every month allows it to be so much more of a concrete thing. And I think just really enforces the ability to just like not just have the intention, but to like live the intention and do it. So I still think that like that was the hardest thing when I was working through it with you and just exploring that space. But I feel like it made it so much easier after the fact.
If someone's starting a job, what's the biggest mistake they could make?
I mean, this one feels maybe too obvious, but I'm going to say it anyways because it'll make me laugh. But like taking a job they don't actually want to take. I do think there's a general sense, and I think especially amongst like people that I know and people who are like really trying to dive into their career, about like finding the right job and like finding the right path. And I think one of the things that's hard is like that doesn't exist. Like there's not a right or wrong job. It's all about like, do I know why I'm going into this job and do I know what I want from it? If we can really look at, like if I can look at a role before I'm going into it and joining a company, it's like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to do this for 40 years, but I know like in this season of life right now, I need these things and this offers these things. Okay, well then it feels pretty clear like this is actually a really great thing for me to do. Entering a job for the sake of like, I don't actually know what I'm doing, I just need this job. It's like, yes, you probably need a job. And like, how do you make it so it's not just about having the job, but it's about like, I'm taking this job to either like teach me these things, learn these things, see this industry, build runway for myself to do something else in the future, or enable me to live like a different lifestyle that I want to live that I haven't before. And like those things all, like having that understanding, I think just reinforces like how good of a job something can be for you without it having to be the best job that you've ever had.